What's going on, ladies and gents? It's Salvaje and we're back at it again with another Fortnite Save the World weapon review. With that said, let's get started. We're reviewing the Razorblade on this video, and as always, a like on the video is always very much appreciated, and I will be reviewing the review formats linked in the description below. What does the Razorblade specialize on? So for the most part, if you're looking for an assault rifle that specializes on close ranges, if you're looking for an assault rifle that specializes on the close to medium ranges, the Razorblade is definitely the one for you. Okay, one of the things that this assault rifle does really well is close quarter encounters and close to medium range encounters. When the husks are almost about to get in your face or very close to your face, this weapon can just dish out some pretty major damage. And one of the things that I really like about this weapon is that it has a pretty decent amount of impact as well, so you are going to get those husks to stagger more often than if you were using a siege breaker, for example. It really makes the Razorblade sort of unique, right? And that's what I want to talk about when it comes down to the Razorblade. If you're looking for an assault rifle that specializes on medium range engagements, that is very consistent at medium range engagements and above, the Razorblade is not the weapon for you. Okay, for the most part, when it comes down to the medium ranges and medium to long ranges, the Razorblade isn't as consistent as other choices out there. Okay, when it comes down to shooting at the medium ranges, sometimes the Razorblade can sort of feel a little bit inconsistent, because if you're moving around and shooting at the same time and not taking your time to tap fire, you're just going to be missing a couple of your shots, because again, the spread on the Razorblade, since it shoots very quickly, is basically big enough to a point where sometimes you're going to be missing a lot of your bullets, which is why, like I said, this weapon is just really good at close to medium-ish ranges. Okay, now like I mentioned previously, what makes this weapon also a threat at the close quarter engagements is the impact. So since this thing has higher impact than the siege breaker, for example, you're going to be making husk flinch more often, and the more husk flinch, the harder it is for them to get to you, and the harder it is for husk to get to you, the more damage you're going to be able to do at the close ranges and close to medium-ish ranges. I always like to keep my weapon reviews very noob friendly. So yeah, simply put, impact basically makes it so the husks are flinching more, and of course if the husks are flinching more often when you shoot them, that means they're going to have a harder time to actually get to you and damage you. And again, that's what makes the Razorblade just very consistent and a threat to be dealt with at the short ranges and short to medium-ish as well. Now, I just want to point out, just because the weapon isn't extremely consistent at medium to longish ranges, doesn't make the weapon bad. The Razorblade is actually pretty good, and I am going to be using it from time to time when there's a firestorm, for example, because this Razorblade was a water element Razorblade. But all I'm saying is that if you're looking for something that can dish out consistent damage at the medium ranges, there are other better choices out there, like for example the siege breaker. The Razorblade at medium ranges doesn't struggle in a major amount of way, but it doesn't perform as well as the siege breaker. Another aspect that I need to point out about the Razorblade is the hipfire. The hipfire on this weapon is only very good and consistent at the shorter ranges, but it's really bad at any other range. Like close to medium ranges, it can be sort of okay, but at medium ranges, you really start seeing and noticing why you should not hipfire with the Razorblade. One of the things that I want to point out about the Razorblade, however, is that when you are at a close to medium range encounter and you're actually aiming down sight, the weapon actually fires very quickly. Okay, and for the most part, if you have the discipline to take your time shooting out the burst from time to time with the Razorblade, you can actually do some pretty decent damage with this thing. Okay, however, I have to give out my personal opinion on how the weapon handles, because I just didn't feel the sort of like the oomph, you know what I mean, like the power of this weapon. For the most part, sometimes I would find myself melting blasters because I was basically almost in their face, and at times I found myself to be in very sticky situations because there were takers coming at me and there were other types of husks coming at me from a range, and I wasn't really able to do anything about it because the Razorblade was just being very inaccurate, even when I would take my time to sort of stand still and shoot. which just goes to show that you should focus on what the weapon specializes on, the weapon's strength, and you should never put yourselves in situations where you are at the weapon's weakness, unless of course you have another weapon or a gadget or basically just a plan B. But of course, you know, I am taking a look at the weapon as itself right now at the moment. Now, one of the biggest strengths that the Razorblade has, and in my opinion one of the reasons why you should be using the Razorblade at these close quarter engagements, is the reload speed. Okay, the Razorblade has a really fast reload speed, and that's what makes it such a good consistent source of damage at the close to medium ranges. Okay, the reload speed on this Razorblade is extremely amazing. And with that said, we're going to move on forward to the next section of the weapon review, recommended perks. So for my Razorblade, I'm running damage, magazine size, damage to snare targets, and of course snare. Now, if you do have causes 6 seconds of affliction on your Razorblade, you are definitely in luck, because of course you can run damage, magazine size damage, and damage to afflicted targets, and of course 6 seconds of affliction. Okay, now I just want to point out, in my opinion, the best way to go when it comes down to perks on the Razorblade is to just go for consistent damage builds. I wouldn't go for a critical rating, critical damage build on the Razorblade, just for the simple reason that the spread on this thing is all over the place, and you're going to be using this weapon at close to medium engagements, which means you want to be getting in as much damage as possible. And in my eyes, critical rating and critical damage isn't the right way to go. I mean, it would be the right way to go if you had a stability perk on the weapon, but if you had a stability perk on the weapon, you are losing your chances of doing critical damage badly because your magazine size is basically just lowered. Now, another perk recommendation that I would recommend for the Razorblade is going with damage, magazine size, and headshot damage. Now, if you're going for a headshot damage build, you absolutely must know that you need to be using this Razorblade at the close ranges, because at sometimes the medium-ish ranges, you're not going to be able to land a headshot with this thing because of the recoil. Okay, and of course, if you just want fun high magazine size build, you can put 2 magazine size on the Razorblade, and then the first perk you can just do damage. Anyways, that's pretty much it when it comes down to my Razorblade weapon review. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing star ratings, but let's give this weapon a star rating. In my opinion, this weapon is a 4 out of 5 stars. Very reliable because it's very consistent at doing its job, and basically its job is to do really good damage at the short to medium-ish ranges. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Feel free to check out the Fortnite Save the World weapon review playlist for more Fortnite weapon reviews, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.